Everyone, my name's Disco and I'm filming on my mobile, so I do apologize for the quality. Forgive that. It's lovely to meet you all. I'm a little bit nervous because this is the first video that I've ever made on being autistic. Okay, so where to start? I am a level 2 autistic on the DSM-5 spectrum. And where shall I start? I have a genetic deletion in the 14th chromosome. Please do not ask me to actually list where it is, because that is just long and complicated. I can research it in a further video to actually give you a bit more information, but it also causes, teeth. I do apologize for those. I'm a little bit insecure about them, but it does cause a problem with dental enamel, so yeah, avoid soft drink when you're older. So getting back to the topic, as you can see, I'm very good at masking. I can create very good eye contact, I can smile, I can interact really well. If I need to in a social context, I can do very good hand gestures, I can smile, the eye contact is going on. It's very easy for me to blend in. However, my natural way of interacting is very monotone. I don't like to make contact. However, over time, since I was a little girl, I learned to make eye contact by observing other children, by observing adults. I would count the amount of time that other people would actually maintain eye contact. How many seconds before they would look away, where they would look to. And then over time, I learned how to replicate that. So I learned eye contact. I would observe facial expressions as people engaged in certain topics of conversation. So then I learned for each individual person what to engage into conversation-wise. Then I would filter my conversation for each individual child in school, precisely what I was going to talk about. So I created a mask for every single person I interacted with. I refer to it like a Stephen King movie in The Shining. Mask on, mask off. So yeah, that was a completely incorrect gesture there, but it's absolutely draining. And I've spent my entire adult life doing exactly the same thing. Which is great if you need to blend in and pass, because no one even knows that you're not autistic. You just carry on. And it was only last year, as of now, we're currently in March, but last year in November, I was finally diagnosed. And according to the psychologist who did the test, I was the best case of passing he'd ever seen. Which made me sort of reach that point of, should I be proud of that, or should I carry on feeling sort of sad? I really wasn't sure how to take that, because how do you really handle that kind of information? I mean, I was kind of hoping for at least high functioning, but level 2 needing a bit of assistance, it's like, oh, you're not as great as you thought you were. You're not doing as well as you thought you were doing in life. So that was a bit of a bummer. And then I decided from then on I would stop trying to pass. I would try and be my true self, which has been the most frightening experience ever. I learned that I've been repressing a stutter. When I reach extreme anxiety, I will stutter. And right now I am absolutely panicking like mad. And I'm praying the stutter doesn't come out because it's utterly humiliating. And I'm trying not to cry right now. This is the most honest I've ever been. And it terrifies me. I don't talk. I've only got one friend that that knows. It's starting. There is only one person that knows I am autistic, and I do my hardest to make sure that she doesn't know the extent that it affects me. I also stim. I have chews that I bite. I'm also what's known as a tapper. I have my 2 fingers and I tend to tap them against each other when I'm trying to find thoughts, because I'm very verbose. I have a very good vocabulary, which helps to mask my inability to function in other situations. But even just tapping my hands up and down against each other helps for some reason to find my thoughts if they disappear, because I tend to be more of a visual person. I know I'm rambling at 1,000 topics here, but that's the way my mind works. It's all over the place. There's so many different thoughts, and trying to organize them all into categories like everyone else does, I don't know how everyone else operates. I mean, they say you meet one autistic. Well, you met one autistic. And if you've seen Sia's video, well, what video? God, I'm showing my age, aren't I? I'm 37. But yeah, if you've seen Sia's movie, then pretty much, yeah, you understand that term. One autistic, you've met one autistic. And yeah, we're all different. Very, very different. I'm sure if you're on YouTube now, you've seen a lot of videos, and there's a lot of different autistics. And we all manage our autism differently. We all manifest it differently. And I haven't met in real life any other autistics apart from one person who was visually, you could see they were autistic because they were muted physically. There was no facial expression, and vocally there was no intonation. So I was aware of the autism. They had a fixation on Pokemon Go, which was even higher than mine. Congratulations to the guy who had the most shinies and had clearly done the most raids. I mean, I am jealous. I have a child with level 3 autism, so he is a full-on child. He requires full-time care. So he also has the obsession with Pokemon even higher than mine, which technically is great because I grew up with Pokemon when it came out, so at least anything he references I know. And his autism manifests completely different to mine, disregarding the fact he's a different level. He, for instance, he stims differently to me. He will headbang, which is not good. He can back up and ram his head into a wall, and he will literally smash his head into the floor, which, as you can imagine, as not just a person watching, as a parent, is absolutely traumatic to watch. He has aggression issues. That's where this tooth went. He literally went into meltdown, and in a state of meltdown, he just punched, and it just went. It wasn't his fault. He just went into meltdown, and obviously when a child's in meltdown, an adult's in meltdown, it's very hard to control your emotions. If I go into meltdown, I enter a state of complete and utter panic. And it's literally overwhelming. I'm not sure of the terms. I'm still trying to understand the terms for what a lot of this is, because when I grew up, they didn't focus on autism. I mean, I saw child psychologists, but they were just calling it ADHD, ADD. She's just a little bit quirky. And I obviously had learning disabilities in my case because, well, I need a little bit of assistance as an adult, but I didn't exactly pass school. I did get straight A's in German. I'm very good with languages and also sign language. So I do have that skill, but I did fail everything else in school. So the only real, I don't know, superpower, if you want to call it an autistic superpower that I've got, is language. Other than that, I mean, I wouldn't say there's really autistic superpowers, unless you want to count my son's Pokemon. That's really it. But I struggle with the most basic of tasks. I had to have my friend teach me how to fry an egg at 37 years old, because simple things like that are beyond my grasp. I have a fear of going to unknown locations. I can, for instance, I could walk 5 minutes up the road to the shops because that's on my usual path. But going beyond that, I couldn't walk another 5 minutes to, say, I don't know, the post office. because that's not mentally mapped. My mind operates like Google Earth. I literally have visual locations that may extend 15 years back. So shops may not even exist anymore. The whole mall might be bulldozed. But I'm still mentally seeing them in my mind, getting double vision. But that's how I travel to locations. So trying to extend even 5 minutes beyond that is traumatic because I have nothing to visually operate from. And my mind, even the past, it recreates things like a 3D environment. I can see a memory. I could literally, say a school. I can recreate the hallways. I can walk down those hallways. Now I could even turn around and look at a plant and go, oh, this is geranium. I didn't know they were geraniums. Well, there we go. Which I understand now is not normal, but that's something I'm coming to terms with now. And depending on what you're remembering, that can either be a good or a bad thing. Because when you got a memory like a Rolodex, that can be problematic. There's a lot of different ways that autism can impact people. It's hard. Just trying to come to terms with, as an adult being diagnosed with autism, understanding all the things that you've repressed so hard to try and integrate into society and just be normal. You don't even realize how much you've actually hidden, how much of your identity you just fought back to try and be like everyone else. I don't even know who I am. I know I'm obsessed with music. I know that much. I have been since I was a little girl. My father had this book on rock and roll, and it only extended to a certain point in the 80s and then it ended. And that upset me so much. I literally used to go through and I would research music. I'd get my father to tell me the year and I would go into that book and I would write alongside the artist the name of the song, and I would write the year it came out. So I was correcting this book just to make sure it was perfect. When I listen to an orchestra playing a song, I hear every single instrument. I can tell you how many violins are playing. And I don't hear just a song. I hear every single instrument at once. And it's so overwhelming, but it's so beautiful. But then I have to hear it again and piece together just the song itself, so I can get rid of all of the different noises that I'm hearing just to hear the one song. But that is an amazing feeling. I didn't know other people didn't get that. You listen to, say, an 80s song. You hear the keyboard, you might hear the saxophone, you'll hear the guitar, you'll hear the artist singing. I'm hearing all the pitches in the artist's voice. I'm hearing the keyboard and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're going A, B, C. And you're just like listening to all the chords, and you could actually replicate that yourself if you know how to play the keyboard, that is. But it's never occurred to me that other people can't do that. I feel kind of sad for them, because that's, I suppose, a weird gift. Well, if you want to call it a gift. I know there's so many different divisions on what's a gift, what's not a gift. There's a lot of opinions in the autistic community. I'm learning that now. And I'm learning all the new words like ableist and, oh my gosh, even special needs or special abilities, or it is really, wow. I just came up with my own words for a lot of the stuff, and now I'm starting to realize there's so many more. And yeah, even watching YouTube videos, it's just overwhelming. There is so much information to process. Even trying to work out whether, for instance, I have autistic shutdowns or autistic meltdowns. I don't know what you call them. Like, say I have an argument with someone and I want to resolve it instantaneously. My mind focuses on logic. It might be an argument about, say, the rubbish wasn't taken out. Now, my mind will logically go to, well, yes, logically, I should have taken the rubbish out. I didn't do that, however. Yelling at me hasn't resolved the issue. But if I will take the rubbish out the next time, then that will resolve the issue. However, that person is so busy yelling, I wasn't able to communicate that. So my mind is going, well, okay, if you communicate that the next time, then clearly you will be able to resolve the issue. However, this person is agitated, so clearly you can't communicate the issue. Okay, so what would be the next best step? So the next best step would be possibly to wait for another couple of days until the person is calmed down. But in the meantime, what am I supposed to do in order to pass with that? Because what if I see this person again and they're still agitated? I mean, you don't know, they could be agitated, but what if they're not? If they're not, then possibly you could mention it, but then how do you know you're not going to inflame the situation worse? And it will just loop and loop and loop and loop. And I can't sleep, I can't eat because I'm in a constant state of panic. It's a simple situation which could possibly be resolved. I could easily walk across and the person might be, yep, like, yeah, fine. Just take it out the next day. But and this could be an incident with a neighbor, I'm just saying hypothetically. But in my mind, it's become a simple incident, has become a full-blown panicked, like massive, massive incident. But to me, it is a full-blown state of a panic-inducing situation. I may as well have been mugged on the street. I probably actually have less of a reaction to being mugged on the street. I'd be like, oh, well, I've been mugged on the street. There is nothing I can do to resolve this issue. It has happened, therefore I must move on. I will deal with the feelings and then I will process the feelings and then the situation is therefore resolved. So logically, that would be easier to deal with than an incident which involves someone else's feelings, which you have no control over. Therefore, panic. And that is the most frustrating thing of all. Because you are working on the grounds of logic, and life by its very nature is not logical, which conflicts with everything that you are and what you function with. So the world becomes a very terrifying place. You walk through a crowd. Well, that's terrifying because if someone is approaching you, I don't know whether they're going to go left or right or if they're going to keep walking at me. So do I go left? Well, that's kind of awkward then because then I've made them feel awkward and that makes me a bad person because I didn't want to make them feel awkward and now they're going to feel bad about me. And I don't want them to feel bad about me, so should I go right? Should I keep walking? I mean, I don't want to make them feel bad, but I don't know what to do. If there's two people coming at me, oh my God, do I walk in between them? How close are they together? They could be a couple. Okay, are there any signs they're a couple? Okay, by the proximity, they definitely look like they're a couple, so that means therefore I should go to the left, which is possibly by a wall, which would make a lot more sense. You see where the thought process goes. It's a simple situation. It's just a crowd. You should be able to just walk one way, move out of the way, and everything will be fine. But in my head, the mental dialogue is so overwhelming. This entire situation of what's normal and simple becomes just a nightmare. Just walking through a shopping center is just beyond a joke. It's crazy. And I don't know how other people seem to know to go left or right. I'm looking at them like, what is this wizardry? How do you know? Is this some sort of X-Men shit? Pardon my language. I'm not monetized or anything. I don't even know how that works. That's beyond my capabilities to comprehend. I don't even know if anyone's going to view this video. I mean, my channel is like, nah. So it's like, how do people understand how to do this stuff? Is there like some secret courses I can attend to learn? I mean, there is nothing I can find on how to manage this. I mean, yeah, there's autistic support groups, but then we circle back to the issue of now I have to interact with other people. And I don't know how to interact with other people. So technically we just circle back to the same issue of now I have to interact with people, which is the reason I'm going to this place, because I can't interact with people because it's a terrifying experience, which means I'm going to be even more terrified and unable to interact with people. So you can't win. Where I live, I'm from Australia and we don't even have a phone helpline. which thankfully, if we had a phone helpline, that would help resolve so many questions. Because what seems like basic knowledge to other people is something that I simply don't possess. Simple skills like how do you approach walking in public is not something I understand. But if I rang someone, I could say, how do you approach walking through a shopping centre when you are approached by people? That would help a lot, honestly, that would. But there doesn't seem to be any answers. How do you manage an argument with other people? Because you have feelings. What do you do with those feelings? My father passed on 3 years ago and we were really close. Now, I don't understand how I understand stages of grief, but then I don't understand where you would place those feelings. So I have emotions, I have a lot of love for him, and I'm like, where do you put that? Is there a place you can put that? It's like it's there, and I don't understand what this is supposed to be. Where does it go? I hear the words, I see a psychologist because obviously, yeah, I clearly need a psychologist here. But it's like, I don't know, even if I hear the words, I don't understand the concept. So you once again back where you start. You have feelings and you don't know what to do with those feelings because you're not accustomed to the feelings. Excuse me. So where do you find this information? You can research all you want on Google, but there's not a lot. You can watch a lot of YouTube videos. Some of them are really, really helpful. But then if you don't understand the concepts, you're back where you started. And once again, autism is different to everyone. Some of them, they may have symptoms similar to you, which helps, but not always. I mean, I found information on tappers, so at least I understood what that's called. I'm still not sure about the masking, because I don't know a lot of people that have gone to the extent that I have, with literally creating masks for every single individual you encounter, having generic templates for each individual you encounter. Because I even have a generic mask that I wear for when I first meet someone. I have the facial expression, I have the tone, the cadence, basically. Everything is worked out. I have the hand gestures worked out. Even if someone goes to hug me, I will automatically relax the body posture, go in for the hug, smile, say it was lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming. I mean, it was lovely. I mean, I had a great time. I can't wait till we catch up again. You already have that backed up. You know precisely what to say. You've got your pre-rehearsed speeches. You just learned over time. You can size up an individual by the conversation, so you know precisely what to follow up with. And it's awkward because when you start to show more of who you are, that's when people suddenly go, oh, because they don't seem to understand just from the way you mask. They have no idea how you really are. Even my interests. I've learned to filter a lot of my interests. I'm actually quite a geek. But then again, I was a goth before I even had my son. So no one looks at me and thinks I was a goth. I mean, even now, I wouldn't look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah, that was totally a goth. Flaming red hair down to my waist. Nah, you wouldn't see it. But I am a Christian girl. Not like totally Christian and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, would not have picked it. But then again, that was trying to find, I suppose, another identity. It was creating another mask. I wasn't fully gothic. It was just trying to create another mask, as most autistics do. And by the way, I have no speech rehearsed. I am just talking into my phone. I'm literally that unprepared. Because if I had a speech, I wouldn't even be able to read it. I just have to talk on the fly. Because there is just so much that is going through my head. I mean, at the moment, I have the song Electric Blue by Icehouse going through my head. And I have about 6 different trains of thought, as well as trying to block out the noise of whatever that is that's going on in the background. a wood chipper or something. I don't know if you can hear it, but whatever it is, it's literally distressing me because I have auditory issues as well. I hear so many sounds at the same frequency. So that is very, very much bothering me. There's a lot of sensory issues in there as well. I wear ankle weights, for instance, so I can walk properly. I don't like water. I have an aversion to water. But yeah, I brush water through my hair. So yeah, showering is an issue because I'm afraid of showers. I don't like the touch of water. I don't like having to do my hair being wet. But it's something I know I have to do. So that's something I've been working on for years to try and come to terms with. But I thought it was just sort of, well, I'm always too busy. I don't have time for a shower. But now I'm analysing it. I hate rain. Rain scares me. Just even the idea that it might touch me, it's touching the windows when it rains really hard, that's very, very distressing to me. And that's the thing, I hear the rain, I want to cover my ears, I want to hide under my blankets, I want to hide under my sheets, I want to literally pull a weighted blanket over myself, and it's still not enough. I just want to hide to the point of disappearing, so it's gone. But that's the problem, there's just not enough places to hide. You're so overwhelmed that you can't hide enough. And that's the scariest part. It's not enough. You're just so overwhelmed. Even wearing earmuffs, then you panic because you're like, well, what if something else happens and I can't hear? It's good on one hand, but then you sort of back where you start. These are questions that currently have no answers, and there's nowhere to go for those answers. So I'm looping and looping and looping at this point, just like, where are these answers? And possibly a lot of people know them, but I don't know these people. So I'm just sort of looping here and hoping that eventually I will learn these answers. But anyway, I think I should probably just end here because this is going to turn into like a great big long ramble, and maybe if I make another video, I might eventually just focus more and actually come out with what I need to say and what people actually want to hear. If anyone actually comments and says what they want to hear about, even shares their experiences, because I would love to know what everyone else is going through, what they've dealt with in life when they were diagnosed, because I literally only got diagnosed at 36. What was your upbringing like? I mean, how did you learn to cope with it? What did you learn about yourself? Have you learned to unmask? And how are you coping? How did you mask your life? What have you been through? What have you got stems? I want to know about you. I would really love to. Just to hear other people tell me about how they've been through life. If you comment that, I would really appreciate that. Anyway, I'm going to head off now, but it was great to talk to you all, okay? You have a great day, night, and whatever you're doing, just enjoy yourself. Okay, catch us all later. Disco out. Bye.